Atreides was never born.
So the Acolyte episodes 1 through 3 already caused a lot of problems over at Lucasfilm and the Walt Disney Company for multiple reasons. Fans are walking away in droves, either unsubscribing from Disney Plus or just giving up on Disney Star Wars in general. Now, as far as I'm concerned, a lot of you out there, including myself, have been away from Disney Star Wars for quite a while now. I think that ever since we saw The Rise of Skywalker and The Mandalorian Season 3, The Book of Boba Fett, it really began to catch on that Disney shows no regret in what they are doing with their forced agenda in the Star Wars universe and really shifting away from George Lucas's vision at that. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You could also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So after the disaster that is the Acolyte Episode 3, alright, one of the biggest failures that we have seen in Star Wars history under Disney Star Wars, right? We know that Bob Iger was responsible for this, Leslie Headland and Kathleen Kennedy, and even Dave Filoni. I've been pointing this out for almost 2 years now, that Dave Filoni is part of the problem at Lucasfilm to an extent. He is the one that gave this thing an okay. He is the one that loves Episode 3. What Leslie Headland did with Episode 3, he is the one that literally said that he actually approved everything from start to finish of that episode. So that's very revealing about Filoni and what he's up for when it comes to Lucasfilm. Now, what's interesting about this moving forward has a lot to do with the impact on Lucasfilm from the Disney executives and what's been going on with the firing situation. Let's get into this, shall we? Now, specifically, of course, we know that Bob Iger is in a phase of damage control. He is in panic mode, so to speak, in a desperate attempt to basically save himself and his legacy as CEO at Disney. Now, with the Acolyte Episode 3 already causing chaos at both Lucasfilm and Disney, one major development now has much to do with the impact of the Acolyte Episode 3 and what it put on Lucasfilm. Now, a crucial update to this situation now involves how the firing situation at Lucasfilm recently got even worse. That was greenlit between Bob Iger and the Disney heads in a recent emergency meeting that took place, where not only was the Acolyte marketing team fired, as we previously discussed, due to the combination of the 3 episodes, so that Disney can, of course, play the blame game and use them as a scapegoat, essentially. It's a very cheap strategy, by the way, guys. However, Iger and the board recently made their ultimate call to lay off some of the cast members from not appearing in any future Lucasfilm production moving onwards. This connects to how the Acolyte Season 2 was recently axed and how both Kathleen Kennedy and Leslie Headland are actively fighting the Disney heads to reinstate the Acolyte Season 2, which is an ongoing battle happening right now behind the scenes. In addition to this, the Disney executives also made a call that not only was the marketing team of the Acolyte fired and many cast members along with them put on the list to get laid off / fired, also Iger and the board are already moving forward with a plan of firing hundreds of employees at Lucasfilm in general in light of the Acolyte's failure, so far as viewership levels are beginning to actually hit a new low already for Lucasfilm and Disney. Now, these firings were reportedly all agreed upon between all the board members and Bob Iger, and that there was no conflict in the recent emergency meeting that took place. However, the firings that took place, especially after the Acolyte Episode 3's debut, created a serious divide between Kathleen Kennedy and the Lucasfilm story group, including Dave Filoni, along with the Leslie Headland situation, how she is now fighting the Disney heads in heated arguments that took place. Now, the drama has been so significant, it has been rattling throughout all of Lucasfilm and Disney. Even Leslie Headland was removed from multiple Lucasfilm projects, along with an entire High Republic trilogy that was cancelled, specifically catered to Disney+. These firings are planned to get even worse if the Acolyte continues to nosedive, since already the Disney board has serious doubts about the upcoming Star Wars Skeleton Crew series for this holiday season. And about that, guys, I don't know if you knew that, there is another Star Wars show dropping this year. Right around November or December is going to be the debut of Skeleton Crew starring Jude Law, alright? But basically what it is, it's another addition to Star Wars that's based on something in pop culture, It is basically the Goonies in space. Alright, that's ultimately what it's going to be. It sounds like a disaster as far as I'm concerned. But when you look at what Kathleen Kennedy has done to the Acolyte, she was also heavily involved in Skeleton Crew, creatively, of course. Now, what's interesting about this is the fact of how much of an impact episodes 1 through 3 of The Acolyte had on Lucasfilm. So not only, like we talked about a couple of days ago, that the marketing team got canned for The Acolyte, but now also cast members are getting picked off. They are getting laid off left and right and are not appearing in any other Lucasfilm production in the near future, or even in the distant future, if you even want to say that they're going to have a distant future at this point. And on top of that, they want to actually fire hundreds of employees at Lucasfilm, generally speaking, as well, to really kind of spend less and make less, even everything out after the disaster that is The Acolyte, with the viewership levels beginning to tank. And also, let's not forget about the ratings disaster. I mean, the audience is really speaking their mind about this show. It is no longer, you know, a thing that they can claim, oh, it's a minority. Well, then why are merchandise sales completely just bombing? They are failing terribly. People are canceling their Acolyte merchandise purchases and or have no interest in purchasing Acolyte merchandise. And that is also revealing, because we talked about this, I would say about a week ago, that they even canceled some Acolyte merchandise that was going to appear in Galaxy's Edge and in retail stores, and how that cost Disney millions upon millions of dollars, and none of that merchandise is actually moving onto the sales floor anymore. So that is something that they really can't hide anymore when it comes to the merchandise sales. That's the very revealing aspect. You can blame review bombing on one end, but how are you going to explain those that have a lack of